Hi, I'm Chart Gal Lori, and I'm part of the Chart Guys community. I've been a trader and technical analyst for the last 8.5 years. And so today we're going to talk about what happened with CPI. It just really shook the market. We had some Russell weakness. We're going to look at crypto and MJ. So let's dig in. Let's make my face a little smaller. There we go. All right. So we're going to start with ES. So Thursday's low was 51.9150. Today's CPI reaction, we broke the low of the reaction last week to the war news, and we had Bostic speaking, I believe. So we had some bad news last Thursday, and it really dumped the market, created a huge range with inside bars. And now, today, we broke the low of that reaction. Looking at RTY, we more than broke that low of the reaction, 2059. Dow, we broke the low of the reaction, 38864. However, NASDAQ did not. NASDAQ held 1805150, which was actually Friday's low. It held it. So NASDAQ is standing out just a little bit more so than the other three indices. And the Russell really took a pause today. When you see the Russell down 2.66%, that is a beating, which the Russell can have more volatility than other names because it has 2,000 names inside its ETF. All right, so looking at ES on the daily, I drew the daily 50 MA here at 51.6935, and we held that. So if this daily lower low didn't get followed through, then what does that open the door for? A weekly bull flag. I'm not saying we're going to have a weekly bull flag. Matter of fact, this volume is not ideal. When you see consolidation, you want declining bull volume, and you want long lower wicks of bulls buying the dip, which this candle isn't closed yet, but it's not ideal. You want lower bear volume. NASDAQ on the weekly, we're still inside last week's range. Nothing alarming yet on NASDAQ, but we need semis to keep playing nice. And by playing nice, I mean NVIDIA and SMCI, they really took off early this morning, and that helped kind of push the market. Again, looking at RTY, it is weak. Weekly support 2032, and we hit 2027. At this point, I would call it a weekly double bottom, but we have to be careful that we don't get a head and shoulders here. That could happen. So the Russell it's not where I would go look for strength. It hasn't been working consistently. Oh, I need to go back to NASDAQ on the daily and show you the 50 MA. We're not closing below the daily 50 MA on NASDAQ. The body is straddling it. Same thing with RTY. And the Dow has closed below the daily 50 MA. And ES has not. So that's a big statement that the Dow and IWM, but if you look at the futures, RTY did not close below it. But that's a pretty big loss for the Dow. And we have bank earnings that start a Friday. We have PPI tomorrow. These are only the 3-star events: initial jobless claims, PPI, 30-year bond auction. Today we had CPI, and you're like, what's the big deal? It was 0.4 versus 0.3. That's 25% more than what they were expecting. Is that 33? 33% more than what they were expecting. Either way, it was a surprise, 3.5 versus 3.4. But I would say the market handled it a lot better than I anticipated initially. And looking at the heat map, the green was in energy space, consumer defensive, and NVDA. We had some midday news on Iran and Israel, some geopolitical conflict. We had President Biden come out and say that he discussed rate cuts. I mean, so we had CPI, we had Biden speaking, we had Fed speak, we had Iran-Israel conflict. I would say we had everything but a partridge in a pear tree. And in Cajun talk, you would say that the Russell took a dodo. It took a sleep. It took a little nap. It just totally went to sleep. So looking at the Dow, it is super weak, and bank earnings could help it, but I'm going to use the word could and not should. Early on, we got some good clues from the VIX. So this morning we had this VIX resistance and then we rejected there and then fell down. That was a great clue. And we also double top with yesterday's high. 1662, 1663. Bitcoin is changing. So last March, when March of 2023, when the banks failed, or not, they didn't fail, but we had one bank fail or couple, and we had people stepping in to help them, we had a flight to safety to Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin is typically a risk-on environment. This is when people are wanting to be a little riskier and have some growth names. But it appears as though Bitcoin is becoming the new flight to safety and or gold. So that's pretty interesting. It had a great move up on the hourly chart. On the 4-hour, we've made enough room for a higher low. And on the daily, we have a beautiful squeeze holding the 50 RSI. Bear volume is very low during this consolidation period, bouncing from the daily 26 EMA. I would say Bitcoin's holding up really well. And coin correlated with that, I should say, not corresponded. We broke the low of the prior day, but then we recovered quickly. So coin is more tied to Bitcoin. Mara and Riot, or more tied to SPY and Bitcoin. So they had some weakness today. Mara closed down near the low of day. We lost the low of the prior day. Riot, we lost the low of the prior day, closing near the low of day. So it's just not getting that same correlation that coin gets. And I guess I should look at MSTR. I forgot to put that on my list. Yeah, and MSTR is getting that bullish correlation as well with Bitcoin. The dollar went screaming higher. I put the US 10-year on here. Okay, joke's on me. There it is. I put it at the top because I wanted to talk about it first. The US 10-year went screaming higher today on the CPI reaction, and we're closing the market with our third hourly inside bar, potential hourly bull flag, extreme strength into the US 10-year, and we're closing around 4.548. What does that mean? It gets to a point where you have a tipping point. Where should you have your cash? Should you have it in the stock market, or should you have it in the US 10-year that's giving you 4.54 yield? So the bond market strength is really weighing on the market. And the dollar took off on that today, really strong. We broke this daily double top. GDX, we had a great response to our back burner today on GDX. We hit it very quickly and then we bounced. So we had a back burner on GDX. GC, that is not clear. Daily, we have plenty of room for a daily higher low on gold. We'll see where that gets set. Hourly is just an EQ at this point. Oil had a spike on that geopolitical news with Iran and Israel, and we have plenty of room for 4-hour higher low. So initially, if we go back and we look at inventory, was right there, had a very low move down on inventory, but the geopolitical news really popped gold. So we're not close to setting that monthly lower high yet. Looking at Apple, we're still holding 165.24 on the monthly. This could be a daily falling wedge, but dang it, bulls prove it sooner than later. I mean, wake the heck up. Earnings are May the 2nd. Lori, tell us how you really feel. So we lost the low of the prior day, and we just kind of hovered below that. I think I used the word languishing. So the Russell was languishing today, and I think Apple's been doing that I know it's been doing that for a few months. So we have Microsoft down here at that magic 420. We bounced into the 15-minute 50 MA. Overall down only 0.71%, not super weak. Tesla closed below the low of the prior day. Falling wedge hopes just continue to go out the window as bulls don't perform as they should or as people anticipate. Semis, we did break the low of the prior day, but we bounced pretty quickly, and then we just maintained within that range for the rest of the day. And I would say SMH was definitely the hero today. AMD was not. AMD broke the low of the prior day and stayed below that. Is it the 4-hour? Where's that squeeze? It's had this squeeze, and now we're breaking to the downside on the hourly chart. It was definitely weaker of all our semis. ARM was weak. We closed near the low of the prior day. However, NVIDIA was strong. We closed near the high of day, and SMCI was strong. So NVIDIA and SMCI stood out. ACB, we had Wall Street Bets and Reddit all over this name today. They had some PE numbers changing, some news this morning, and they initially spiked but then came back inside yesterday's range, and that's where we rejected right here. Prior day high was 690, but a pretty strong close for ACB, which was surprising considering how weak Tilray earnings were. So on CGC, we had a weak day. Cron and GRWG were weak. However, psychedelics had a wonderful day. We had ATAI initially taking out the low of the prior day, but then closing pretty strong. And MNMD, they won the prize today. Looking for that daily higher low compared to 897. We had a lot of people all over this for this back burner trade. Dan nailed this one. MSOS closing near the low of the prior day. Really weak today. Just didn't have any favor. And Tilray, I was laughing at the end of day. Look at this, $2 and $2.02. If you look at the bid and the ask, they were just fighting. They were absolutely battling. XLF closed near the low of day, and healthcare has been weak. And then I had a trade today on live stream, CCJ. So my trade on CCJ, I was live streaming this morning, and I got in at 14.17. I exited at 48.77 on the second scale. I still have one scale left. And CCJ, what I'm looking at is this daily cup and handle. Dan's been talking about this. I've been looking for the daily higher low. And then my comments at open was, hey, if we hold the prior day low, 46.94, that is the area to enter. I couldn't grab it fast enough. It was 47.17, not 47. 47.17, but I didn't grab it as quickly as I would have liked, but I'm very proud of this trade. This was a live stream trade, and we live stream every day 3 to 4 times for our members. All right, if you want to give me a follow on X, that'd be great, at Chargal Lori. And we got PPI tomorrow and then bank earnings Friday. More fun to come. All right, have a great day.